Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the topic of can we actually live in a better world? So, for this video, I'll explain the question of can we live in a better world, okay? For that matter, okay? And when it comes to, of course, the question of can we actually live in a better world, there there's two things obviously you can mention. The idea of living in a perfect world and the idea of living in a world that is better than the world we live in now. Okay, the first one will never happen, but the second one definitely can happen. And those are the two main points I'll be getting at for this video. So now I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the idea of living in a perfect world, which I think everybody, when they say the idea of a perfect world, they think the idea of like a world where every nation is developed, not just that, but there's good quality services like free healthcare and every type of services you can imagine you need for society. There's literally little to no crime, all that type of stuff. Pretty much just like Canada, how Canada was 10 plus years ago, but just on an international scale, like to the point that, of course, every nation is like that. Um, the truth of the matter is, simply put it, I just don't think that ever happened. And the biggest reason why I don't think that ever happened is I just feel like if we were to actually kind of try to make that happen, I just feel like there's going to be problems, and not in the way you would expect. The reason why I say there's going to be problems is that I just feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are just bored and kind of want something to happen, okay? Which means there could be violence, there could be chaos, or even just straight up war. People just kind of want something to happen. And the reason why I say that is that even look at us in our day to day lives, okay? At least us in the developed world, like North America, Europe, places like that. Okay, look at how we live, okay? For that matter, okay? Our lives, most of us already find our lives in this day and age, in a world as already chaotic as this one, boring as it is already. And I just feel like, when I literally have a world where there's nothing happening, so there's like nothing to happen on the news. The news just talks about God knows what at that point and stuff like that. There's just nothing really, for that matter, to kind of get people to kind of do things for that matter, or let alone inspire people. I just feel like we're just gonna have a lot of people in the world who are just bored and just kind of want something to happen, for that matter. Let alone the fact that in a world like that, I just feel like there's gonna be a lot of angry youth, you know, which definitely goes alongside the idea of that nothing ever happened as well. People who are left out of things, pretty much the same stuff you're used to, the idea of that. You've heard a million times, people who are not a part of everything, people who are unhappy, because maybe they're bullied in school, people didn't really let them in, their social groups, let alone, of course, the most biggest one of all, they're being bullied, and they just feel left out of things because they look at the world, from the perspective of why is everyone doing so much better than me? Why am I left out of things? When I see all these people who are famous, who are rich, they have everything that you could want and more and all that type of stuff, like the ladies and everything. And they're looking at their life, and they're just saying, why am I not a part of that? Why can't I be involved in that? Why am I left out of things? So it makes them even more miserable and unhappy, and mixed with the fact that there's no chaos or anything that at least kind of balance the world out anymore in that regard, it makes them more likely to kind of maybe start joining ideologies and, in other words, gangs, and start causing problems and a lot of chaos and stuff. And they start fighting amongst each other, or maybe even want to just in general even attack innocent civilians for no apparent reason, just because they want something interesting to happen. Yada yada yada, all that type of shit. Okay, to be quite honest with you, I just feel like if we were to try our best to actually live in a better world, like the perfect world people are referring to when they think of a better world, because knowing how our society is nowadays, everything is always over the top. So when people say a better world, they think a perfect world automatically. I just feel like if we actually did live in a world like that, perfect, of course, I just feel like we're just gonna have more problems and more chaos and just which will of course go against the idea of it being a better world when you have a lot of people just cause problems for the sake of causing problems. And that becomes a case of it came from it being utopic to dystopic. So that's a problem I have with that idea, okay? And especially just to add to that as well, the fact that we have so many narcissists in this world. Oh god, I fucking hate those people. Like the type of people who make comments like, like 99% of the world is doing better than you, and they themselves like to bully people, whether it could be in school or even people who might have a older brother who does that, and God forbid, an older sister who's like that type of shit. I just feel like those people themselves absolutely are the very definition of the people who are the biggest reason why that would never happen. Because they say all this stuff to these individuals, they get them angry, they get them, you know, uh, to become miserable. They do all those things, and it makes them more likely that they're going to find ways at some point to lash out and cause problems. So, in short, to put it bluntly, I just don't think it's going to happen. I feel if we do it, we're just going to have a lot of chaos and violence at some point because people are not happy with their lives. Am I saying that we should not live in a better world? No, but I'm just speaking logically from what I know. I just feel like something like that's gonna fucking happen, from logic, from what I see happen on a day to day basis. So I just don't know why I care to hear about the idea of living in a better world, in honesty. I just feel like something stupid is gonna happen like that, to be honest with you. So, in short, no, I don't believe we can live in a perfect world, if that's what we're referring to. Now the question becomes, of course, can we actually live in a better world? Like not perfect, but better than how it is now. And the simple answer to that question is, believe it or not, yes, I believe um, we can live in a better world. Okay, and the reason why I say that is that when it comes to issues we have in the world, like especially here in the developed world, like the issues we have, like, the price of living, um, things like that, the amount of, aside from the cost, the price of living, other issues that we have, like maybe, an easy example I can also give, like less political corruption in Washington, more effort into the government to kind of keep people distracted, the youth in particular distracted, by providing maybe services, like programs and all that type of stuff where people can do things and stuff like that, and just working on infrastructure, and even better entertainment just to keep people distracted. I definitely believe in that regard we could definitely live in a better world, to answer your question, to be honest with you, in that regard. Because the truth of the matter is, those are things that are definitely feasible. Those are things that can definitely not only are feasible, but definitely can be done. For that matter, we just need to have more effort poured into it, to be quite blunt and honest with you. But in short, of course, yes, I do believe we can definitely live in a better world because there's a lot of bullshit that happens in the world, a lot of chaos, that happens, for that matter, which I actually know is a lot of it is actually due to school, you know, which everything from better quality education could be definitely done to, of course, of course, to be honest with you, dealing with the bullying issue, which the best way to deal with it is to let people know they have the right to defend themselves, shit like that. Those are things that can be done, to make our lives on this planet a lot better, at least here in the developed world. And even when it comes to poor nations, we can obviously make sure that there's a basic degree that when it comes to no matter how bad things get in their nations, there's a basic level of quality of life. Like maybe they have access to you know good quality communication tools, um, good quality food that's at least at a decent level, good quality beverages that are cold. In other words, at least a basic degree of good quality resources to keep themselves, of course, happy, at least to a certain extent. And when there's a major crisis going on in the world, there's at least you know, something to prevent it from getting really, really, really bad. So in other words, pretty much just basic stability measures, okay? And when of course we're referring to, of course, the richest part of the world, yes, we can live in a better world that has a lot less issues and a lot less bullshit, to be quite honest with you, like the examples I gave before, okay? So yes, we can definitely live in a world that's better than the world we live in today, okay, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? So in short, this is my video. I hope I answer your question when it comes to the question of can we live in a better world, because we definitely can, not perfect, but definitely better than how it is now. So this is all I have to say, and just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumb this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say, and simply put, I'm out.